postulate and our theorem that we're using today, angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Okay? So, the first one, proving two triangles congruent using angle, side, angle. So, if two angles and the included side, that means the side that sits in between the two angles. If two angles and the included side of one triangle are, what word do you think we need here? Congruent. To two angles and the included side of the second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay. Examples. Well, I have triangle JHG is congruent to triangle GEF by angle, side, angle. Because I have one angle marking. The side that's in between the two angles, two marks. So angle, side, angle. Another way to do that is to say that triangle, it's right here, triangle GHJ is congruent to triangle KHJ by, I see your hand, by angle, side, angle. What's missing? What's not marked here as being congruent? What's the included side that's not marked? What? Yeah, HJ, right? Do you guys see that this side right here is not marked as congruent? Why isn't it marked as congruent? Is it congruent? Isn't it congruent to itself by the reflexive property? Yeah. HJ is congruent to HJ. Dylan, you got a pencil? You write notes or you napping? Not Dylan, sorry, TJ. You write notes or you napping? It looks like you're napping, bud. So just like vertical angles, if sides are congruent to each other because they're nestled together, they're the common side, they're not going to mark that, right? It's kind of going to be that you have to understand something is congruent to itself. You just have to know that. What was your question, Chandler?
I was going to ask you.
Okay. All right. So a theorem is something in mathematics that must be proven. We've already talked about this. A theorem is something that has to be proved or proven. Okay. So if two angles, here's our next theorem. This is called the angle side theorem. If two angles and the non-included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the corresponding non-included side of the second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So when I look at the next two pairs of triangles, and I'm going to make it big so you guys can see. So I have angle, side, angle, side. So I want to show you kind of what this looks like. If we go in order, we have angle, side, angle, side. When we use angle, side, the side that's congruent is not in between the two angles like it is in angle, side, angle. Do you guys see the difference? This included, there's the side that's congruent is not in between the two angles. It's on the other side. Yes, I see that, or no, I don't. Okay. So if I were to look at this triangle, one congruent marking, 2 marks. So what is the side that has to be congruent if I'm using angle, side. If I'm using angle, angle, side, what's missing? What's marked congruent, but it's not. It's just understood. Yeah, KM. Angle, angle, side. It's the non-included side. Angle, angle, side. Okay. So I want you to draw a picture of two triangles that are congruent to each other. So I'm going to draw two right triangles. And I want you to tell me what to mark. What am I marking? If I want these to be congruent by angle, side, angle, and I'll even label them. I'll give them some letters. A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. So I want to mark these so that they're congruent by angle, side, angle. What should I mark? Anyone? Tell me what to mark. 90-degree mark? Sure. I'll put a 90 here and a 90 here. So because those are both 90, that means that angle A is congruent to angle. Perfect. What else should I mark? What do I need next? I need a side. What side do you want to choose? Say again. That's an angle. I need a side. Beat. So hang on a second. I'm doing angle, side, angle. So I have to choose a side that can be in between another angle. So I can only choose either AB or AC. Those are the only choices. I heard someone say BC and I heard someone say YZ. I can't choose that side. It won't work for angle, side, angle. So if I say mark AB congruent, I have to mark YZ. That's the corresponding side. Sorry, XY, corresponding side. So now I'm missing the next angle. What angles have to be marked congruent to complete this? Angle and angle. So now I have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. Let's draw two more right triangles to do the next one. So set it up the same exact way. So let's call this D, E, F. And I'm going to call this Q, R, S. So I'll start off by marking the right angles. So we have an angle. We're using angle, angle, side this time. So now what do I have to mark? Which angle do you want to mark? Doesn't matter. Pick one. What? S and F. So angle F is congruent to angle S. So if I use angle, angle, side, what side has to be marked as congruent to the other side? EF or RS. Okay. So that's angle, angle, side. Is someone going to ask the question? I mean, that absolutely works. Angle, angle, side. What if I didn't mark EF and RS? Is there another side that could be marked as congruent using angle, angle, side? What about DE and QR? Doesn't that still follow the same pattern? Angle, angle, side? Yes or no? Mylena, how can you see the board if you're not ever looking up? Does that follow the same pattern? Yes or no? So this has two potential answers. Do you guys see that? So you're going to have some homework questions that might have two potential answers. Okay. You don't have to give them both to me. I just made sure that on the answer key, I did them both. So question number 3 says, what additional piece of information would we need to prove that the two triangles below are congruent by angle, side, angle? Well, I have a congruent angle and I have a congruent side. Remember that if I use angle, side, angle, the side has to be nestled in between the two angles. So what is the only other option that I have? What is the only other option? If I start down here and I go angle, side, angle. Yeah, this angle right here, correct? Angle, side, angle. I can't just call it B because that's shared through both triangles. So I have to name it by the three letters that create it. Angle A, B, D has to be congruent to angle C, B, D. When we first talked about like angles, we said angles are formed by two rays. Chandler, open your eyes. Angles are formed by two rays. And I said, make sure that the vertex is always the middle letter, right? This is the vertex, that B that you were talking about. Okay. Let's go to number 4. So question number 4, what additional piece of information do we need to prove that the triangles are congruent using angle, angle, side? Well, I have an angle congruent to an angle, and I have a side congruent to a side. So I need this to look like angle, angle, side. So what's missing? Which ones? So you want to say that this angle right here is congruent to what? M? I could. What do you know about angle K?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's not true. Why? You know it. Say it. What kind of angle is that in the middle? Those are vertical angles. So even though they're not marked, these two are congruent to each other by vertical angles. So do we need anything else? No, we don't. We don't need anything. Nothing else is needed. Now, we could have marked angle J and angle M. Instead, if those are congruent, then we still get angle, angle, side. But this is one of those examples where I'm saying, like, you have two potential answers, right? But technically, these are already congruent by angle, angle, side. They're already congruent by angle, angle, side. So now we're going to do the whole activity that we did yesterday. Only now we're focused on using angle, angle, side, and angle, side, angle. Or not possible. Those are our choices today. That's what we're using today. You can't use side angle side that you learned yesterday. We're not there yet. Okay. So looking at example 1, could the two triangles be congruent to each other? And if so, what theorem and what's missing being marked congruent? What would we use? Example number 1. Angle, side, angle. I totally agree. What side needs to be marked as congruent? Or what side is congruent? It's just not marked. Say it. Do you guys see that this triangle has a common side? It shares a side with the other triangle. Yeah, the middle piece right here. Isn't this congruent to itself? Yeah, so we don't need to mark it. It's a common side. It's a shared side. So it's congruent. What about the next one? What do you got, Chandler? So for number 2, so Chandler, look, it starts at the 90, the common side, and then the marked angle. Starts at the 90, the common side, and then the marked angle. So what theorem is that? What theorem goes from the angle to the side to the angle? Angle, side, angle. Okay. What about example number 3? Could we use any of the two theorems that we just learned to say that those two triangles are congruent? What are you going to do, Caleb? How are you going to do it? Angle, angle, side. So what angle is congruent that's not marked? Yeah, the vertical angles. I want you guys to call them vertical angles. So yeah, this gives me angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Maybe I need to do that so you guys can see the order. Maybe those dots and lines help. I don't know. What about the next one? God bless you. What about the next one? Not possible. Good job. Not possible. Okay. What about number 5? What about number 5? Angle, angle, side. What's missing being marked congruent, Charlie? Yeah, the vertical angles. I'm trying to write vertical, but that didn't even look right. Vertical angles. So angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Okay. What about number 6? Say it. Not possible. Okay. What about number 7? Those just have 3 angles congruent to 3 angles. What does it make when you have 3 angles of one triangle congruent to 3 angles of another? Does it make it congruent? Look at that picture I drew on the board yesterday. It doesn't. It just says that they're similar. This is not possible. You can't prove congruence with this. You can only prove that they're similar. Okay. What about number 8? Yeah, angle, angle, side. We have a pair of vertical angles right here. So that gives me angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Okay. I always mark my vertical angles. As soon as I see them, I mark them congruent. Just helps me think. What about this one? Angle, side, angle. Who said that? Good job, Jack. Angle, side, angle. Because I have this included side, right? That included side. So I have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. Is this making more sense? Yes. Okay. What about this next one, number 10? Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. I have this included side right here that's congruent to itself. So I get angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Do you feel a little bit better about identifying them? Yeah, it takes a while to get your geometry brain turned on, I think. Okay, so for this one, you're asked to state what's missing, state what's needed to use one of these 2 theorems. Okay, so it's not enough to just mark it, you have to say it. So, number 11, I want to use angle, side, angle. So, what is a side that I know is congruent but not marked? It's a side. Side has to be a seg. We name it with 2 names, like 2 letters. Yeah, I know that this segment is congruent to itself. Why? I told you guys earlier. What's that called? It's the reflexive property. When you guys look in the mirror and you see your reflection, isn't that yourself? Aren't you yourself? That's how I remember that. Yes, you are. So it's the reflexive property. So I'm going to use angle, side, angle. I want to use angle, side, angle. So what's the missing piece? Missing piece are those angles right there. So how do I say that I need those 2 angles to be congruent? I have to name them by their letters. Angle QCD has to be congruent to angle ECD. And you can see this is your common side right there in the name of the angle. That's your common side in the name of the angle. Okay. C is your vertex. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go to number 11. Sorry, number 12. Again, I'm using angle, side, angle. So when I look at this, I have one angle congruent to one angle, another angle congruent to another angle. So what am I missing in between them? Missing the side part. What is the side? How am I going to name the sides? UT and what else? Yeah, UT congruent to KL. Segment UT has to be congruent to segment KL. Are we feeling a little bit better about this? Okay. Do the dots and the lines help? Yeah? No? Yes? Okay. All right. I'm going to use angle, side, angle. I want to use angle, side, angle for this one. So, I have two 90-degree angles. So I know that this angle is congruent to this angle. What else do I know? I have these vertical angles right here that aren't marked congruent, but they are. So this is another angle. So if I want to use angle, side, angle, what am I missing? I'm missing the side that's in between them. The side that's in between them on both, right? I'm missing these sides. So let's see, that's segment CS congruent to segment RS. That lets me use angle, side, angle. Number 14, I want to use angle, side, angle again. I'm going to use angle, side, angle again. So what am I missing for number 14? I have a congruent angle to a congruent angle. What do I know? There are vertical angles. This is a vertical angle right here. Vertical angles. And we know that those are congruent to each other. So if I'm going to use angle, side, angle, what is the side that's in between them that has to be congruent? Yeah, WV and KV have to be congruent to each other. WV and KV. Number 15. Number 15, I have angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. What's the side that we know is congruent that's not marked? It's a side has to have two letters, right? Two letters because it's a segment. So CD, this is congruent to itself, right? This segment right here is congruent to itself. So this is my side. So I have angle, side, angle, side. If I want to use angle, angle, side, I'm missing the front angle. I'm missing the angle at the beginning. So where does it have to be? Say it, Quali. Angle T and angle E. Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. So angle T has to be congruent to angle E. You just kind of have to follow your way around the corners to make sure you're following the right pattern. Number 16 is also an angle, angle, side. Number 16 is like the one that we drew ourselves. There might be two possible answers. So if I wanted to use angle, angle, side, what pair of sides, because I have two angles marked. I have this angle congruent to this angle. So what sides have to be congruent? So here's how I do this. You guys see that you have two arcs right here and two arcs right here. So if you're going to kind of work your way around 2 to 3, this has to be my side. 2 to 3, those are my angles. This has to be the side. So say it again, Quali. Side YZ has to be congruent to what? Yeah, to side NM. But what if I changed the way that I drew my arrow, Quali? What if I went this way? What if I started at the 3, like the 3 marks on my angle and went to the 2? What if I started at the 3 and went to the 2? Then that gives me angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. And if that were the case, what sides would have to be marked congruent? Yeah, segment LN congruent to segment XZ. So this is an example of where you have 2 answers. Do you see that? It just depends the way you work your way around the triangle. Both are correct. Both are correct. You don't need to give both. Just know that you could have 2 potential answers. What's important is making sure that you identify the corresponding sides correctly. Okay? All right, almost done. Number 17. Angle, side, angle. So I already have a congruent angle. One angle congruent marked congruent to another. Do I have any sides marked congruent? Which one do we know, Quali? Yeah, we know that segment GH is congruent to itself. So there's my angle, side, angle, side. So what am I missing? Yeah, what angle is that? What angle is this right here? It's angle VG. Angle VHG has to be congruent to angle IGH. VHG has to be congruent to IGH. I want to use angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side on number 18. What do we know about this side? It's congruent. So there's my side. And I also know that this angle is congruent to this angle. So if I went this way, angle, angle, I would need to know what? This angle right here has to be congruent to this angle right here. That's angle FKL, congruent to angle JKL. But what if I went the other direction? What if I went this way? I started at angle F and I went this way. Or started at angle J and went on this side. What else could I say? What other angle could be marked as congruent if I wanted to say use angle, angle, side? Well, angle FLK congruent to angle JLK. Oh, sorry, that's supposed to be a J. Okay.